For it. Alrighty, guys. Welcome to Action Park, or Class Action Park, the nickname for Action Park, a notorious amusement and water park in Vernon, New Jersey, that operated primarily from the late 1970s through the 1990s, and became infamous for its extremely unsafe rides, lack of proper supervision, and frequent injuries, earning it a reputation as one of the most dangerous amusement parks in U.S. history. Bada boom, bada boom. Alrighty. So, what is Action Park? Opened in 1978 by entrepreneur Gene Mulvihill. We'll be coming back to him in a minute. Located in New Jersey near the Appalachian Mountains, about an hour drive away from New York, making it very accessible to lots of individuals. It was divided into three main areas: Motor World, Water World, and Alpine Center. I literally do not have enough time to get into all the crazy shit that happened in all of these three areas. We're mostly going to be focusing on Water World today, but when I tell you they're all nuts, they are nuts. Action Park was famous for its lack of safety oversight. Many rides were designed in-house without any professional engineering or proper testing. The staff was primarily unsupervised teenagers with near constant access to alcohol and to each other, and injuries were so frequent that a local hospital reportedly had a special trauma room just for Action Park visitors. Patrons called it Traction Park, Accident Park, or Class Action Park because of the number of lawsuits, and of course, several fatalities occurred. So who the heck did this and why? Enter Gene Mulvihill, from an American businessman, entrepreneur, and the infamously bold founder of Action Park. Born in 1934 in New Jersey, he graduated from West Point, which shaped his confidence and discipline, but also his disregard for what he saw as bureaucratic limitations. He worked in the stock market during the early 60s and 70s and became a Wall Street penny stock promoter before being banned by the SEC for fraudulent activities related to stock manipulation, after which he pivoted into land development and recreation. Buying the Vernon West Valley Ski Resort and making it profitable year round. He believed in the idea of freedom through danger, that park goers should be able to take risks, get hurt, and feel like they were on a real adventure. He was charismatic, stubborn, and deeply unconventional. He fought lawsuits, ignored regulators, and ran the park more like a daredevil's playground than an actual business. So, it was pretty crazy. And I did want to mention also, this is a bunch of his teenage employees here. He had a bunch of investors in this park. A lot of people refused to invest because they thought it was too unsafe. One of the people who almost refused to invest in was Donald Trump, who thought it was too unsafe to invest his money into. So that tells you something. So of course the rides. We got to talk about the rides, and here's a little couple of people talking about them.
Hell yeah.
It's like my type of park.
I'm ready. Let's go, Anthony.
Looking for a great place for the family this summer? Well, Action Park has 75 of the wildest, wettest
Whoa.
family rides in the world.
Come get paralyzed at Action Park.
I'm ready.
The action truly never stopped, with an atmosphere that mixed party culture, adrenaline, and genuine danger. Action Park attracted a lot of working class individuals, especially teenagers. I did think to myself, who the hell would go to this? And I realized my father would, and yours probably would too. Yep. All right, so let's talk about the rides. This is the Cannonball Loop. The Cannonball Loop was a water slide with a full vertical loop, a loop-to-loop like a roller coaster, made entirely out of enclosed plastic tubing. Riders would slide down a steep enclosed tube, gather speed, and then shoot through a 360 loop before splashing out at the bottom. Sounds like cartoon logic. It was. The slide's loop was completely circular rather than the gradual teardrop shape used in physics-based roller coasters, which meant riders slammed against the walls on the inside instead of gliding smoothly through. The design was never properly engineered. Legend says it was sketched on a napkin by Gene Mulvihill, who then hired local welders to build it. There was little to no testing. They did run some test dummies through it, which reportedly came out without heads and arms. He then, of course, jumped to the next logical step, which was human testing. And that human testing was paying his teenage employees $100 apiece to shoot themselves through the tube. After the first couple went through, pretty bruised, banged up, and semi-conscious, the next batch that went through started to come out with major lacerations on their hands and faces. Why, you might ask? Well, when they opened the tube to find out, they found a bunch of human teeth inside from the first people who rode the ride that
Nice.
were cutting up the riders who came afterward.
Beautiful.
Yeah, very fun. Employees later said that Cannonball Loop was the closest thing we had to an actual torture device. Next, we're going to talk about the Tarzan swing. Looks pretty simple in concept, pretty catastrophic in execution. Guests would climb up a ladder to a platform where they would then hold on to the swing, and they were meant to swing out and then let go at the apex of the arc and drop into a natural spring-fed pond below. A few problems. One, most people didn't have the upper body strength to swing themselves over this area, and they would just let go whenever, at any point. And belly flop horribly into the water, which was 15 to 20 feet below. The water was also glacially cold, fed by underground springs. Many riders would go into cold shock when they would hit the water and struggle to swim as they would get out of the way. Reportedly, because there were hundreds of onlookers at any given time, people would be drowning while other people were yelling pussy at them because they weren't getting out of the way fast enough. Lifeguards repeatedly had to jump in and save people who were panicking or gasping. At least one person did die of a heart attack from cold shock hitting the water. So fun times on the Tarzan swing. Next, we got to talk about the wave pool, also known as the grave pool. The grave pool was in the Waterworld section of Action Park. It was huge, over 100 feet wide and 250 feet long, holding nearly 2.5 million gallons of water, with waves up to 3 feet high that would be generated for 30-minute periods, giving swimmers almost no breaks. At the deepest parts of the pool, the water would be over 10 feet deep and semi-opaque due to like bodily fluids and sunscreen and runoff, meaning that they had to stop the pool every so often to make sure there were no bodies trapped underneath everything. There was no life jackets, there was constant overcrowding, and there were regular systems with the electric issues. The area at about shoulder depth was called the death zone, and they would haze new lifeguards by putting them in the death chair, which would be right next to the death zone. They would say, if you work wave pool and you don't pull at least 3 people out of shift, you are not paying attention. And yet, this was one of the most popular attractions, despite at least 2 or 3 people drowning in it, which is crazy, because, like, you don't close it after the first person? But no.
No, you can't. They gotta keep it going.
You gotta keep it up.
They sure do. Next, we're going to talk about the kayak experience. Seems pretty chill, seems pretty fun. It was designed to emulate a little outdoor kayaking adventure with occasional whitewater sections, which would be great, except for that the whitewater sections were created by giant fans underwater, which had ungrounded electricity running through them. In a water park area. There was, in fact, a tragedy in 1982 where someone fell out of a kayak and was then electrocuted in the water due to the giant fans. So pretty not great and designed with very little safety or engineering oversight, because who puts ungrounded electricity in a water park? The sort of most notorious ride was the Alpine Slide, which is actually over in the Alpine section of the park. This was a concrete track that ran down a mountain. It had absolutely no safety features to keep you in the tube, and you could, in fact, rocket out of the tube at multiple points. The sleds required you to brake them at precise areas, but the brakes were often not working on the sleds, and people apparently had like a hobby of trying to drop sleds off the ski lift onto riders below. So that also was a thing. So many people would get skin just ripped up on the Alpine slide that it became like a teenage rite of passage in New Jersey to get your butt torn off by the Alpine slide. People had regular broken bones, concussions, dislocated shoulders, countless burns and scrapes. And then you would get sprayed down by the famous orange sauce, which was a mix of iodine and rubbing alcohol. That they would just spray all over your injuries. There was, in fact, a death on the Alpine slide when a teenage boy rocketed out of the slide and hit his head on some rocks. Many of these deaths and injuries were not reported to the state or reported incorrectly to the state because this was criminal in its utter lack of oversight and continued to be operated that way. So let's talk a little bit about how criminal it was. There were dozens of lawsuits every year, most of which were settled or argued extensively due to the extreme wealth of Gene Mulvihill. One of the most infamous parts of this story is that Mulvihill himself could not get a legitimate insurance company to cover the park. No one wanted to touch it, so he created his own fake insurance company to insure the park. And it had absolutely no real insurance whatsoever. And that's it. Action Park wasn't just dangerous. It embodied a certain American frontier spirit. The idea that fun meant taking real risks. People got hurt, yes, but many who went there wouldn't remember it as exhilarating and formative. It is both a cautionary tale and a cultural time capsule. Thank you so much.
Woo!